In order to see the effects this role division has, let's go back to A and B, now turned into the group men and the group women. As men are defined by the group of social ideas as the breadwinners, they tend not to take part in household chores. They only work outside the house in a paid job. This forces women to look for a part-time job or flexi-time to be able to perform both tasks, jobs in which they earn less. As women's working days are doubled, they have less time and energy than men do for other activities such as training, joining cooperative action groups such as unions, and even doing leisure time activities. Also, women are offered certain jobs and not others. It is more likely that women have access to jobs regarded as female, usually in the service area, and they are assigned to minor responsibility positions. Why? Because it's taken for granted that men will do better in higher positions as they are solely devoted to that. Now we can see how unequal resources begin to build up. Men have more money than women and better jobs. This gives them wider ranging decisions, powers within their jobs and their homes. Furthermore, they have more time to develop professionally and personally, which allows them access to new and better opportunities. Now let's analyse the following. If a group has access to better opportunities and benefits, it has higher possibilities of developing its capacities. Thus, it is ahead when it comes to having access to new opportunities and benefits. Or, the other way around, the fewer opportunities and benefits a group has access to, the fewer the possibilities it has to develop its capacities. It will be at a disadvantage for access to new opportunities and benefits. As we can see, it's a circular system, and inequalities are emphasised as we add more resources to one side of the relationship. This means that men not only have more power, but also more possibilities to gain more power. But the script or group of social ideas, apart from telling us which jobs we should do, also defines how we should behave, talk, and mix with others. And these characteristics also cause inequality. Let's go over the other attitudes and behaviours that appear as natural for men and for women, even though we know that they're not natural at all. Women are associated with the house, the family, caretaking of others, nurturing, compassion, sensitivity, all characteristics related to their role of being in charge of housekeeping. Conversely, men are represented as active beings, competitive, undertakers who do not fear anything. These are all characteristics which are useful for going to the outside world and exercising their breadwinning role. And in their relationship with each other, which roles are they called to represent? Women have to do anything possible to be desired by men, and they must seduce them. As we can see, the active role is still on the male side. And what are we told is the most important attributes a woman has in this case? Her beauty, her body, her female essence. Today, as decades ago, women are constantly and tirelessly called to reach a certain feminine ideal according to the rules in each society. But as we said before, those who do not fit the script suffer some kind of punishment. In this case, women seek to adapt, some with desperate methods, but they do not succeed. And this causes guilt, frustration, low self-esteem, and a particular type of violence, self-inflicted violence. Because even from such innocent things as products aimed at teenagers like music, videos or magazines, the suggested idea is the highest achievement a woman can wish for is to be wanted. A woman is represented as a passive being who is there to be looked at, praised, wanted and finally possessed by somebody else. But are we talking about an object or a person? This is the biggest problem and the highest risk. A woman's body and the woman herself end up being an object. Sometimes we can literally see this, and this is the greatest inequality that exists because an object is not human. Then, any abuse can be justified. But if women play this role, what is the role men should be playing according to this script? We've already said that men are represented as naturally active beings who should take their initiative. They are the leaders, but they are also aggressive beings with no contact with their emotions, highly competitive and unable to control their impulses, especially sexual ones. These are the ideas they are surrounded by since childhood, and which are imposed on them as natural norms. They are male-defining characteristics in our society. They are men stuff. But what happens with those not speaking like a man, drinking like a man, or doing man stuff? They are both physically and mentally punished. He who does not follow the stereotype is kept out of the group, treated as a coward, or simply mistreated by the others. He is discriminated against to a higher or lesser degree according to each society. Thus we see how men are called to be more and more manly, that is, more violent, more demolishing, and women ever more passive, devoted to turning themselves into objects. At this stage, we shouldn't be surprised that violence against women does not only appear in the media as a fact between individuals, but it also becomes invisible or goes unnoticed. Certain images cause no surprise. Beaten women in advertising, locked up in cages in musical videos, or simply dead. Nor are we surprised by the fact that sex is everywhere, and what these sex images show are women waiting to be sexually possessed as objects by aggressive men who precisely for this reason turn out to be attractive. What are the consequences of all of this in our lives? Let's go back to the relationship between the men's group and the women's group. Now let's think what would happen if one of the members in this relationship has so much power that they can decide over the other person's body, their sexuality, and their entire lives. All we can expect is violence. Against women because they're in the most vulnerable position in this relationship, but also amongst men. What our scripts say about what being a man and what being a woman involve is harmful to everyone. Because we're shaping men who must show their manliness in every move, getting more and more aggressive. And we're shaping more and more insecure women who assume that the most important thing is being wanted and accepted in the model they have to fit in. In spite of being packed with responsibilities in the home and labour world, they're often treated as if they were objects. Women who find all kinds of obstacles when they go into the world to manage on their own, just for being women. Now let's go over all the concepts we have found and relate them to each other. There are gender roles which assign men and women certain characteristics, but unevenly. Male roles are more highly valued by the group of social ideas. In turn, this allows men access to a greater number of resources of all kinds. This gives them more power. This power can be used against the most vulnerable component in the relationship, to punish them if they do not fit into the group of social ideas. Used to restrict their access to certain spaces which are not expected within the group of social ideas. Used to deny access to other resources and used to underestimate them. In short, used against whom they can exercise violence. And violence will only result in one thing. Everything remains the same. The only way to break this cycle is by building more equal societies. But how? Reflecting. The scripts are plays we can write and rewrite as we wish. There is nothing inherently natural and nothing impossible to change. Reflecting on our beliefs is the first step to changing them. Reclaiming. We must demand from our states laws that protect the most vulnerable and punish those who exercise violence. We mustn't ignore the impunity of those who use their power to harm others. We must also demand equal policies to bring job access opportunities both to men and women, and that those jobs be decent and fair without sex-related differences. We must fight to equally rank the number of women in higher positions both in our country's governments as well as in unions and private companies. Training more women, giving them more tools to allow them to develop both personally and professionally. Educating. We must educate our children and youth in equality. Eliminating harsh models, teaching them not to restrict the person's development just because they don't fit a certain role or script. Bringing up children who are taught not to show their sensitivity, not to be compassionate or helpful, is to sever their development. It is to block their way by being free and full human beings. Equality means better distribution of social resources, not changing certain unequal relationships for others. Equality means that everybody has the same possibilities, no matter whether we live in a big city or a small town, which language we speak or which God we believe in. Equality is having the same opportunities, no matter if we're men or women. It's about having freedom, freedom which removes inequality, that which denies violence. Let's break the circles, all of us, for all of us.